This is day 7 at COP21 in Paris, France. As you can see behind me, one of the many food installations selling food at a good profit to the participants of this conference is closed today. The reason that it's closed is that most of the participants in the conference, who are observers, but even some state participants, are not allowed into the discussions. So only states at the ministerial level, so ministers with their advisors, are now discussing behind closed doors, without any openness, without any transparency. If you have a badge like this, even if you're a UN accredited NGO, you are locked out of the negotiations. In the past, when negotiations took place behind closed doors, we got agreements that were neither transparent nor adequate to provide the ambition that was needed, the mitigation and adaptation support that was needed to be able to protect the individuals most affected by climate change. This time it seems that the same is happening, but it's perhaps even more important because instead of discussing merely a COP decision, we are discussing a new treaty. And if this treaty is not sufficient, it may doom humanity not only now, but into the future. Nevertheless, COP President, the Foreign Minister of France, Laurent Fabius, has indicated that civil society will not be allowed into the negotiating room. Negotiations will take place behind closed doors in a manner that is neither open nor transparent. This is problematic, particularly in relation to the rights of individuals to participate in their government. You cannot participate in your government if you don't know what your government is saying or doing behind your back, particularly when it is something that affects so many people as climate change does. Nevertheless, this is exactly what is happening here. Without much respect for Article 25 of the International Covenant of Civil and Political Rights that provides for participation in one's government, and assumedly in important international decisions that are made regarding that government, as well as Article 19 that provides not only the right to express oneself, but also the right to receive information necessary for your participation in government. In fact, the states that are causing the most problem for civil society or observers are the European states. That's unusual because the European states themselves have entered into a treaty called the Aarhus Convention that requires them to respect participation of civil society in exactly these types of processes. I guess France doesn't feel that it's bound to that treaty. Despite the fact that civil society is not allowed in to these negotiations, probably for the rest of the negotiations, except for short meetings where they will be able to watch on video, not even on the internet, but on video here at the conference center, an explanation or summary of what happened, something they could not influence, so after the fact. It is a very serious matter. As you can see from this graphic, more than 70 million people died in World War II. But climate change will kill more than 150 million people by the end of this century. Many of these people will not be the ones in the negotiating room or their children, which are often elites or at least better off than most of the people in the world, but it will be the most vulnerable people, the people who need to know what is going on in the negotiating rooms, but who are being locked out. Often people represented by civil society, but even people who don't have access to some of the things that civil society has, such as even being in the conference perimeter, as we are allowed right now, but not in the negotiating room. This is quite a significant dearth in the protection of the most vulnerable people, because they do not even know how the decisions are being made by their leaders that could have a tremendous effect on them.